Discuss with the current chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Democrat Jack Reed of Rhode Island. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being with us. I'm sure you've been in some of those scrums before, but it seems to be more on the other side of the aisle these days. How is Pete Hegseth's nomination looking at this point? Do you think there will be any opposition coming from Republican senators?
Well, first we have to go through and do a thorough review of his record. Not just sit down and talk to him, but look at the record. That's being compiled now by the FBI. It'll be sent to us, and we have to hear him out. But there's so many issues: his treatment of women, his long-time declaration that they should not serve in combat, which would be, I think, a weakening our readiness, not strengthening it. His drinking habits. All these things, together with the fact that he simply doesn't have a great deal of experience running large organizations. The two small groups he ran essentially financially failed. So there are lots of questions to be asked, but the process must involve asking these questions, listening to the answers, and then making a judgment.
And Mr. Chairman, are you inclined to support this nomination at this point?
Well, at this point, I'm waiting for the opportunity to go through all the records. I think, particularly on the Armed Services Committee, we have an obligation to thoroughly review anybody who's sent up here. And after we've done our review, asked our questions, and even more questions, then make a judgment based on the facts and based on the needs of the service and the nation.
And I'm sure you know this, Pete Hegseth is trying to walk back some of these comments he has previously made about women in the military, saying they have been, quote, misconstrued. But let's listen to what he said in November and compare it to what he said last night on Fox.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
I also want an opportunity here to clarify comments that have been misconstrued that I somehow don't support women in the military. Some of our greatest warriors, our best warriors out there are women who serve, raise their right hand to defend this country and love our nation, want to defend that flag, and they do it every single day around the globe. So I'm not presuming anything, but after President Trump asked me to be his Secretary of Defense, should I get the opportunity to do that, I look forward to being a secretary for all our warriors, men and women, for the amazing contributions they make in our military.
Mr. Chairman, what do you make of that?
It sounds like a pre-confirmation conversion. He was pretty blatant. He's not only been blatant in his comments, he's blatant in his writings that women should not be in combat. And then now suddenly to disown those comments, it seems more calculated to get votes for a confirmation than it is his real policy, which he'll carry out. And then in addition to his statements about women in combat, allegations about his treatment of women, I think are going to be detrimental to his position if he's chosen as Secretary of Defense, because I think women will not trust him because of his alleged incidents with many other women.
Yeah, and if you listen to folks in Trump world, they're pretty confident that Pete Hegseth is going to get confirmed. I mean, you talk to some of your Republican colleagues privately. Senators do that. Do you get the sense that this is a slam dunk, or this is still up in the air?
It's still in the air, frankly, Jim, because there might be more information coming out that could shift and likely shift away from confirmation. But in addition, we have not yet received a lot of the reports that we will get. We haven't had the chance to have an open hearing so he can testify, and we can ask him questions about why does he at one point say, no women, they detract from our readiness, they're terrible in the military, in combat particularly, and then suddenly he's the most enthusiastic supporter. And that'll come across. And I think the other factor that comes across is under this scrutiny, the public will start forming conclusions about his capabilities. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, literally.
And I do want to ask you about one of Trump's other cabinet picks, former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. She previously said toppling Syrian dictator and President Bashar al-Assad, who gassed his own people, is not an enemy of the United States, even calling the war to overthrow him illegal and counterproductive. Does it concern you that someone like Tulsi Gabbard could be briefing the president and overseeing the intelligence community if she's getting things like Bashar al-Assad wrong?
Absolutely. And she has very little background in intelligence. She was in the military. She served with distinction, but as a medical service officer. So she's not an intelligence expert. And then she has these obvious ideas that are not consistent with the facts, that Assad is a good guy. In fact, that was proven wrong just a few hours ago when he left his country after his people overthrew him. So you're talking about someone that's not really qualified, nor does she have the, I think, balanced, common sense insights that are necessary.
All right, Chairman Jack Reed, Senator from Rhode Island, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.